You are Locked On Pistons Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh, yeah. Welcome in. Make it two in a row for the Detroit Pistons. Getting the win at home, 112-102 over the Charlotte Hornets. Detroit back above 500. My name is Jake Riepma, and this is the Locked On Pistons Postcast, your post-game destination for all things Detroit Pistons on Locked On Sports Detroit. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on YouTube as well. Coming up on today's show, how about Cade Cunningham, a triple-double, messed around and got a triple-double. We've been talking about it all homestand, how important this game was to close out the homestand at 4-2. The Pistons do just that, so we will discuss it and wrap it up with our studs and duds. So don't go anywhere. That's all coming up next, but I got to remind you that your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. That's right. We're introducing the Locked On Pistons daily newsletter, and it's your one stop for Ultimate Team and League coverage, and it's delivered right to your inbox, my friends. It's that easy. Sign up for free right now at LockedOnDaily.com. LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Pistons newsletter. What gets better than that, my friends? I also got to remind you that today's episode is brought to you by and made possible by our friends. That's right, making the Locked On Pistons postcast possible. Give it up for FanDuel. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Let me break it down for you one more time. $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's courtesy of our friends at FanDuel. Now, here we go. The Detroit Pistons knock out the Charlotte Hornets 112-102, and they punched them in the mouth early in this one. And that's so important. You're playing an opponent that largely is inferior, and that's okay to say. The Pistons have reached that point where they're playing at a level they should exude confidence. They should know that a 13-win Hornet team coming into the Little Caesars Arena has no business even competing with the Detroit Pistons. So they did exactly that, making a statement in that opening quarter. Oh my goodness, 39-15. The ball was moving. The defense was being played. I mean, you look at a 39-15 opening quarter. That shouldn't happen in the National Basketball Association. That type of margin in one quarter of play exudes what the two different things: that A, the Charlotte Hornets were not ready to play, and B, the Pistons were. So it's back-to-back nights in which, and not necessarily back-to-back games, I should say, because they had the off day yesterday, but Friday night at home against Philadelphia, and Sunday, today, the Pistons come out ready to play. And that's just so crucial to put the confidence level at an all-time high, build yourself a huge lead, and really not to encourage getting in cruise control and taking the gas off the pedal, but to put yourself in a winning position from the very jump. You love to see that start from the Detroit Pistons. Now, I know this game got a little dicey, and they got it as close to as 5, I want to say, in the second half. And it's the NBA. Everybody's going to make a run. And sure, the Pistons could have done more to withstand that run and not let it get as close as they did. But this is also the National Basketball Association. Miles Bridges dropping 30. The teams aren't going to lay over and die for you on any given night. So the fact that the Pistons were able to build a big enough lead and then to go out and carry that lead into the second half and ultimately earn the victory, that's huge, because again, this homestand set itself up for the Pistons to stockpile some victories and to go 4-2 after not the most, a little bit of a rough patch there with the 2 consecutive losses, and both on buzzer beaters, no less. So to bounce back, show some resiliency after the heartbreaking loss to Cleveland in a game that you really felt like you had a chance to win, but the buzzer beater sent the Pistons home in that one. So to come back and get 2 wins over the weekend weekend against Philadelphia and then against an inferior team, the Charlotte Hornets. You feel really, really good about that. As always, your comments are welcome on a live Locked On Pistons postcast. So hit me up in the comment section. Would love to know what you have to say about this one. We turn to Demetrius McNeil right away, always tuning in to a live Locked On Pistons postcast. And for that, we appreciate you. He has to say this: when the Hornets cut the deficit, the Pistons 28-point lead to just 2, I'm thinking no way they see a big lead disappear. Thank goodness Cade's triple-double saved this team. Both games are at Chicago this week. Very good point. Yes, and it did get down and it's close to 2. My apologies with that. I knew it was at 4 at one point, and I just kept thinking, like, this lead cannot evaporate completely. And fortunately, they never lost it. But individually speaking, yes, it was Cade Cunningham with the triple-double, but Tobias Harris, 20-point effort tonight. He was efficient as well. 9 of 13 from the floor, just 1 of 2 from the long line. So that's back-to-back games where he's really utilized that mid-range jump shot, which you love to see from Tobias Harris. And I know it's a little bit unconventional when you talk about ways to score in today's NBA, but make no mistake about it, he was an asset for the Detroit Pistons this afternoon. Plus 20 on the day. He also had the 4 rebounds, but 20 points for Tobias Harris. And for the Pistons, 5 starters were in double figures. Tim Hardaway Jr. with 8 points, the only one that was not, but he was plus 8 for the day. But how about 16 points from Asar Thompson? I love what you saw from him. 7 of 9 from the floor, 2 of 5 from the foul line. 5 offensive rebounds, 8 rebounds in total, 4 assists for Asar Thompson. So he continues to be an energetic addition to this Detroit Pistons team, a guy that you can count on to bring the energy, no doubt about it. And Jalen Duren, look, he had a rough game the other night. So good to see him bounce back. He was plus 10, give him the double-double with 16 points and 12 boards. And from the foul line, 4 of 4 from the stripe, 12 rebounds, as I mentioned, the 6 assists as well. A really solid game from him. And you know we're going to talk about Cade Cunningham with the triple-double. I messed around and got a triple-double. How about that? 19 points. He was plus 5. Had the 12 assists, so getting his teammates involved. 10 rebounds. That's the all-star Cade Cunningham. Struggled a little bit from the floor, 7 of 17, and he also turned the ball over 5 times. But overall, you got to feel good about the winning effort that Cade Cunningham and the rest of this team put forth. Now, can't say enough about Malik Beasley. What a game he had on Friday against Philadelphia with the career high 36 points. He was at it again. 5 made 3-pointers. Now struggled a little bit. 5 of 19, but 17 points for Malik Beasley. That's the type of offensive effort you count on from him off the bench to help this team and help bring the victory for the Detroit Pistons. So love what you saw from Cade Cunningham with the triple-double. Love the victory because ultimately that's what's most important. JB Bickerstaff talked about this post-game and that, getting out to that type of big lead, and you're going to face adversity throughout the course of the game. The Pistons did today, and they still found a way to get the dub. So love to see that. Awesome job from the Detroit Pistons, who win this one by a score of 112-102. Going to have to apologize for the sirens you hear in the background. I guess something's going on. I do apologize if those are coming through. I don't have my headphones on, but I hear them. I'm not sure if the viewers hear them. But Pistons get above 500, 27-26 on the season, 14-3 overall. They finished that 6-game homestand, which, again, for the 2 rough patches in the middle of the homestand with the buzzer beater losses to the Hawks and then to the Cleveland Cavaliers before the Philadelphia 76ers, it was nice to see a victory this afternoon to close out that homestand on a winning effort. So you start with the huge win over the Dallas Mavericks last Friday that sent the Mavs franchise into a hizzy and forced them to trade Luka Doncic the next day. Crazy saying that out loud. Still crazy saying that out loud. And then you come back, get the win over the Chicago Bulls a week ago from today. Really nice effort all the way around, 127-119. And then the middle of the week with the Monday loss to the Hawks with the buzzer beater from Trae Young, and then the buzzer beater loss from Garland, who knocked the Pistons out with that 3 at the buzzer. Darius Garland, who had 25 points in that game. So to come back and get the win Friday night against an ailing 76ers team, 125-112, and then the Hornets team today 112-102. Good defense, good start to this game to build that huge lead and then to hold on to it. Great stuff from the Detroit Pistons, which you absolutely love to see. Don't go anywhere. We are going to continue discussing this win over the Charlotte Hornets for the Detroit Pistons, make way of what all happened over the trade deadline with the Detroit Pistons and how they continue to look as a team moving forward. And then, of course, wrap it up with our studs and duds. So don't go anywhere. We are just getting started on a live Locked On Pistons postcast here on your home for the Locked On Pistons postcast, Locked On Sports Detroit. This episode of the Locked On Pistons postcast is brought to you by Skims for Men. That's right. When I found out about Skims and that they were making underwear for men, I was intrigued. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try for myself. I knew I was going to love it. And of course, I was not disappointed. Let me tell you all about Skims for Men. They're amazing. Listen, I've had issues with underwear in the past. Fit, comfort, chafing, all of that. Yeah, it goes on. It's hard to talk about, but it's real, my friends. And just finding the right style for me was a challenge. Skims changed all that. Their men's line offering something for everyone from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style, was exactly what I needed. That's why I chose the boxer brief, and I am hooked. This is a perfect way to adapt to my active lifestyle, and they move with me. They never lose their shape, and they stay in place all day. So whether I'm working out or just running errands, or heck, even if I'm hosting the Locked On Pistons postcast, they're the most comfortable and reliable underwear I've ever owned. Plus, the lightweight material feels amazing, almost like you're wearing nothing at all. Commando, right? That's almost the next best thing. So shop Skims Men's at skims.com and Skims stores. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show, Locked On NBA, Locked On Pistons, from the drop-down menu that follows. And if you're looking for the perfect fit for your Valentine or for yourself, Skims just launched their best Valentine's shop ever, and it's available in sizes for women, men, kids, and even pets. So there you have it. Make it happen with Skims. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com and Skims stores. All right, moving right along with the live Locked On Pistons postcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in, or if you're catching the audio-only version, you can find that on Locked On Pistons. Shout out to the everydayers like Demetrius McNeil that always makes it appointment listening for post-game sessions on the Locked On Pistons postcast, and you can find more post-game here on Locked On Sports Detroit. Pitchers and catchers reporting. I cannot wait for baseball season. We'll have Locked On Tigers postcast as they look to follow up that playoff appearance from a year ago, and they got the wild card. They took the Motor City by storm, and as Jason Benetti so perfectly put it, a city that doesn't care about the odds has a baseball team to match. That will be a lot of fun. Cannot wait to get started. Jack Flaherty is a member of the Detroit Pistons. Will they sign Alex Bregman? I don't know. He's still unsigned. But back to the action in this one. The Pistons beat the Hornets, and 112-102 was the final in this one. Of course, the big first quarter, and the Pistons outscoring the Hornets 39-15, the big story, and having that huge lead at the halftime break, 76-46. But the Hornets tried to fight their way back. They outscored the Pistons by 3 in that third quarter, and then by 7 in the fourth quarter, but Detroit was able to hold on in that one. So good stuff there. And I'm sorry, 66 to 66 to 46 was the halftime lead. My apologies. Math is hard, but we're working through it there. So appreciate that. Miles Bridges, the game high leader for the Hornets with 30 points, 26 for Seth Curry. That was the bulk of the damage being done by the Hornets, 17 off the bench for Isaiah Wong. For the Pistons, leading the way, 20 points, Tobias Harris, 19 for Cade Cunningham. He had a triple-double as well, 12 assists. Now, what does this homestand mean as far as the Eastern Conference standings are concerned? Because with the All-Star break rapidly approaching, and that being said, I always think of the All-Star break not as the halfway point, but really, and sometimes we say first half, second half, but it really isn't that way because there's so many few games compared to the portion of the season before the All-Star break compared to post All-Star break. So don't look now. And I mean that. Don't look now. But the Pistons are at 27 and 26 would be the 6th seed ahead of the Miami Heat, who are at 25 and 25, and right behind the Bucks, who are at 27 and 23. If you would have said that, and now look, I know we're rapidly approaching the All-Star break and there's a lot of basketball left to be played. But if you would have said on February 9th, JB Bickerstaff in his first year would have this Pistons team at 27 and 26 and in the 6th spot in the Eastern Conference, by a show of hands, how many of you would sign up for that? Every hand should be up. We all would sign up for that. Because this is where, and the All-Star break is a good time to take a progress report, right? To take a status check-in. Where is this Detroit Pistons team at? And I think the fact that they are so far beyond the scheduled expectation or they've progressed so much further along in year one under JB Bickerstaff than we could have hoped, that we could start to get greedy as fans a little bit. And I think that's what makes this portion of the calendar fun because, again, there's a couple of games for the Pistons before that All-Star break, winnable games, right? 2 against Chicago before the long break. So you got a game on Tuesday against the Bulls and then on Wednesday, both at the United Center, and both of those winnable games before the 8-day break from the All-Star game. And then you resume the action and take on the Spurs. And after the All-Star break, you start to play that really meaningful basketball. And make no mistake about it, it's going to be a fantastic learning opportunity for all of these guys because this core has not played meaningful basketball. And that may sound insulting. It may sound like you're not necessarily talking to them like professionals, but they would all tell you that there has not been a meaningful game played for this Detroit Pistons team prior to this year, because this is less than a year of 14 wins on the season. And I don't mean to beat a dead horse with that, but let's put this all into perspective. I mean, a game above 500 in a playoff spot, and not even a play-in spot right now, a playoff spot. That's where the cutoff is as the 6th seed. So again, and there's a lot of basketball to be played, but I don't think anyone wants to see the Detroit Pistons. And if the season ended right now, you'd be taking on a New York Knicks team that the Pistons have had some success against in this season. They've won 2 games against the New York Knicks. So I know the New York Knicks are loaded with a ton of talent between Cat and Brunson, and the list goes on, but I don't think for a second the New York Knicks want to play the Detroit Pistons in that opening round because depending on how it all plays out, that's a very realistic potential matchup. And, if the Pistons are able to stay healthy or getting Jaden Ivey back, that's going to be an internal addition. You talk about Dennis Schroeder added to the Pistons lineup from the trade market and what that means. All of this is so important. And, I should talk about that a little bit more. In his first time with Lindy Waters did not play today, but Schroeder did draw in 15 minutes, took 4 shots. He hit 1 of them, 2 of 2 from the foul line. He was +3. So 5 points for Schroeder in his first game as a Detroit Piston. And that's probably the baseline of what we'll see from him. 15 minutes, a role player. And so again, it's not like the Alaskan Assassin, Trajan Langdon went out and made these world-breaking moves and blew everything up and altered everything, but just continued to progress along with the plan, which I, for one, was happy to see. So good stuff there all the way around. All right. We got time for one more segment, It's the studs and duds portion of the program. I always enjoy that portion of the program. I hope you'll join me for it. And if you're joining the live broadcast, let me know your studs and duds. Who is a stud out there? What am I missing? Because I always love taking the feedback as well. That's all coming up next on a live Locked On Pistons postcast here on Locked On Sports Detroit. This episode of the Locked On Pistons postcast is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And buckle up, because when the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. Got to give props to the Hornets, because I did not see what the spread was after halftime, but I'm guessing they covered because they put together a little second half comeback there this afternoon. But if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay. Another day, another parlay. That's my mindset when I'm making bets. I love cooking up good parlays and making a lot of money with America's #1 sports book. I use it all the time. The app's super easy to use as well, and it just adds a little sizzle to the viewing experience. So right now, FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. It's the studs and duds portion of the program, recapping another Pistons win to get above 500, 27-26, completing the homestand at 4-2 before going to Chicago. On my other show on 105.3 The Fan, we were talking about different accents the other day, and Chicago accent is one of them. I have a Midwest accent, obviously, hailing from the great state of Michigan, but Pistons taking on the Bulls, back-to-back games at the United Center. What a venue that is. I should add, I was a proud intern for the Chicago Bulls in the 27-18 season. There you go. I was interning my little behind off back in those days. Trying to remember who was on that team. Zach LaVine was still on that team. Not a lot of superstars for that Chicago Bulls team in 2017, 2018. You look at the record, it was not good. But I did get, I wouldn't say my start in sports media for the Chicago Bulls. I was at Northwestern at the time in Chicago and worked for the Chicago Bulls. Great staff there. But I hope the Pistons beat them on Tuesday and Wednesday. Enough story time for studs and duds. I don't know if anyone appreciates the story time, and it could just be, hey, get on with it, pal. Enough about your intern life for the Chicago Bulls. Here we go. Studs and duds. Stud, Cade Cunningham. He's always a stud. I mean, he is a bona fide superstar. He does what nobody else for this Detroit Pistons team can do. He leads. He is the face of the team, a triple-double. How about this stat? I can't believe I saved it until the very end of the program, but that's what we do here on a live Locked On Pistons postcast. I'm pulling it up right now. I wanted to make sure I had this accurate, but the most triple-doubles in a single season for the Detroit Pistons, Grant Hill in 96-97 had 13. Grant Hill in 95-96 had 10. And now Cade Cunningham with his 8th triple-double this season. So he is getting closer and closer to tying Grant Hill in the 95-96 season and then passing him in the 96-97 season when he had 13. Which, by the way, the Pistons should retire Grant Hill's 33 number. I mean, what are we waiting for with that? I know he didn't win a chip, but I would love to see Grant Hill's number retired for the Detroit Pistons. Am I alone in that? I thought I saw some rumblings with that on Twitter, but point being, I think it needs to happen. So let's see what we can do there. Duds and this one, nothing really stood out to me. As far as duds, I mean, Simone Fontecchio, 14 minutes, didn't really do much, 0 for 2 from the long line. He was a +4 while he was out there, but he didn't register a single bucket. He's out there to get buckets, so you can go ahead and give him a dud. But as far as the team collectively, I think you got to give the entire team a stud performance in the first quarter, coming out ready to play, outscoring Charlotte 39-15, and really just leaving no doubt in the opening frame of who the better team was and punching them in the mouth. And I know that's a sports cliche, but it's very accurate in what took place at Little Caesars Arena today. So Pistons finish the homestand at 4-2, which you absolutely love to see. Great work by the Detroit Pistons to get to that 4-2 mark on this homestand, because we said it's time to stockpile some victories. Above 500 in sixth place in the Eastern Conference right now would play the New York Knicks if the season ended today. It doesn't. Our next Locked On Pistons postcast, post-game style, will be Tuesday after the Pistons take on the Bulls in the Windy City. And then right after that, Wednesday night, back-to-back before the conclusion of the first half of the season, before the All-Star break. And not really the first half of the season, but until the All-Star break, because I hate saying first half, second half when there's way less games in the second half than there is in the first half. Cade Cunningham will be an All-Star. He'll be in the three-point shooting contest, trying to dethrone Damian Lillard, who's won back-to-back, and Mac McClung's won back-to-back dunk contests. So All-Star festivities, we'll talk more about those in the coming postcast. I don't particularly get up for them, but hey, if Cade's in the three-point shooting contest, I'm looking forward to that for sure, because it's an opportunity to rep the 3-1-3, rep the Detroit Pistons, and what a great job Cade Cunningham always does doing that. But thanks so much for tuning into this edition of the live Locked On Pistons postcast. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter. I'm tired of telling you about it, but not everybody's signing up for the newsletter. Not everybody has subscribed. Listen, we appreciate the live viewers. We appreciate the audio downloads, but let's build this YouTube community. Let's get up to 2,000 subscribers. We've been stuck on 1,800 for quite some time. And so if you have a Pistons friend, or if you have a friend that's a Pistons fan, go ahead and tell them to subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. But that newsletter is available for you at lockedondaily.com. That's lockedondaily.com. And it's your one stop for ultimate team and league coverage. And it's delivered right to your inbox. So make sure you sign up for free right now at lockedondaily.com. Support all of our Locked On Detroit channels: Locked On Tigers, Locked On Red Wings, Locked On Lions, Locked On Pistons. And we appreciate each and every one of you tuning in to this edition of the Locked On Pistons postcast. My name is Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. Pistons beat the Hornets, finish the homestand 4-2. Final score in this one, 112-102. The Pistons are above 500 at 27-26. A triple-double for Cade Cunningham. Enjoy the big game, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday after the Pistons take on the Chicago Bulls for a live Locked On Pistons postcast. Until then, subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit. Have a wonderful evening.